This is a story about a boy who had a dream. It was me. I was the boy that had a dream that has sort of come true because it was all about getting this guy behind me in my room. Sounds a bit weird, but you know what I mean. Well, you don't know. That's what we're going to get into in the video. It has been a dream of mine ever since I was a kid to have one of the icons, the horror icons, at least one. I'd love all of them, but one of the horror icons as a life size, full size sort of prop mannequin thing, whatever you want to call it. I've always really truly wanted to have one in a room somewhere, not just to scare the absolute shit out of people, but because of I think it would just be such a great display piece to have, and it is something that I will have forever. And that's what this video is about. It's about that journey because I thought that this would probably be pretty straightforward, but also, I am stupid and didn't realize that it's not going to be straightforward at all. And that's, as I said, what this video is all about. This is more of a story about my journey to try and get a screen accurate Michael Myers to have on display, not just in the creep zone, but just to have in my house, for me to have and to hold forever and ever. But the journey wasn't as easy as what I thought it was going to be. And that's what this is all about. So, as an end result, if you are watching this video and want to see a genuine movie screen accurate Michael Myers, you're not going to get that from this video. And I'm going to talk about why. But if you want to see something or you want to know about my journey of getting what I have so far and where I go next with it, and you want to see something that's pretty cool in regards to having a life size Michael Myers, well, then keep watching the video because I'm going to go into it all. So the journey started a long, long time ago because I'm old. And as a kid, obviously, I was absolutely obsessed with horror. I have been a lifelong fan of horror. And by the time I was 10, I was watching horror way before that. But by the time I was 10, I was already absolutely obsessed with the genre. I love the movies, but I love finding out more about the journey of how they get to screen with the practical effects and the directing and the performances and the music and of course absolutely everything. But one of the things that always stands out with horror is the iconography. The iconography of a lot of the time the villains of the movies, and you've got your Freddy Krueger's and your Jason Voorhees and you've got your Pinheads. And of course, you have your Michael Myers. And to me, Michael Myers is always one of those that stands out because he is essentially just a guy, but fucking intimidating. Like one of, if not the still to this day, one of the most intimidating horror icon villains, whatever you want to call it, that there ever has been, all the way back from 1978. And it's the stark imagery that you see when you see John Carpenter's Halloween for the first time. Still to this day, it's everything about Michael Myers that works. And it just felt like it was lightning in the bottle that they got at that time. And then now, till this day, we still absolutely love the look of Michael Myers. Now, it has always gone through the different looks. And quite honestly, the fact that they still have always constantly had mostly shit masks compared to what the original is, I mean, it still blows my mind, especially when I'm going to be talking about, well, what I've got. So Michael Myers has always been one of those icons that has meant a lot to me in regards to the aesthetic, the look of what horror is. At the forefront of my mind when I think of horror, a lot of the time it is John Carpenter's Halloween and Michael Myers. So ever since I was a kid, I have always wanted a life-size prop of Michael Myers. Now, fundamentally, he is always going to be one of the easiest ones to get because if you want Freddy Krueger, well, not only is there a lot of bits to get, but you don't want him sort of standing still. You want him in like a pose, right? With his glove. If you get Ghostface, you want him doing something rather than just standing there, maybe wiping away his knife as he does all the time. But with Michael Myers, it's a little bit easier because what makes him so intimidating is his stillness. And as you can see behind me, that is where it works really, really well with getting a sort of life-size prop with Michael Myers. So that's already one good thing about always wanting a Michael Myers prop is because I've sort of made it a little bit easier for myself. But in this video, I'm talking about how I didn't make it easy for myself, and I 100% have overcomplicated the process of doing that or getting this into my house. Now, as I said, this is something that I've always wanted, but it's never really something that happened. One, because I don't have any money. Most of the stuff that you see behind me is a collection that I've been trying to collect for years and years and years. Ever since I was a kid, I'm the easiest person to buy for because I just say, get me horror stuff. If anybody asks, I'm like, just get me anything to do with horror and I'm happy. And that's what this collection that you can see behind me is just stuff that I've got over the years. I've been gifted, mostly been gifted over the years. So I've never really had the money. And one thing that is the most essential thing that you need to get if you're going to make a realistic, a movie replica, screen accurate Michael Myers is quite obviously the mask. And they aren't cheap because you can go and get the trick or treat masks or any mask that they've sort of made for mass production over time, but they just don't look right. They're fine for what they are, but they're fine if you just want to wear it for Halloween and go out. They're fine if you want to put it like I've done on a prop and put it out there for, like, say, Halloween night and so on. But if you're trying to make something that feels like you're going into a room and you see the real Michael Myers standing there, they're not quite there. So then you have people out there who are incredible artists where they get these masks and they do rehauls. And rehauls is essentially where, as I said, they get a Michael Myers mask or a William Shatner mask and they go through the same process as what they did when they created the original Michael Myers mask in 1978. And there are actually videos online of the original creator of the mask showing you how they did it. So, I mean, it's great that we're in a world now where we can see that, because when I grew up, there was nothing like that. So now we get to see how they created it. So that's a great step. But you get the artistry of these rehauls behind it, and it's absolutely fantastic. So that's your first step. Then you start thinking about everything else that I'm going to go into. So recently, and very recently, my journey started where someone online is getting rid of some of their collection of masks and so on like that. And I come across this picture of a mask that is, when I'm looking at this picture, I am genuinely thinking that I am looking at the Michael Myers mask from 1978. Like, it genuinely feels like it is the mask that they had in the movie. Now, of course, it's not. Those masks are either all destroyed, gone, eroded, everything. You can watch videos online of people that have got, screen used, Michael Myers masks and other movie masks and that, and they look like they're not in good wear and tear. You know what I mean? They're not in good condition. So you're not going to get that. And also, once again, I have no money. So it becomes about, well, what do you do? Where do you go from there? So then, as I said, I saw this picture and straight away I wanted it. The problem is, you can want things, and if you don't have the money to pay for them, well, you can't have those things. So I just sat there and I just kept sitting there and I was just constantly looking at this picture because I kept on thinking about that kid that wanted a life-size Michael Myers and growing up and continuously wanting this. And it felt like if I was ever going to do that, then it was going to be now, because this, in all honesty, was the perfect rehauled Michael Myers mask that looked absolutely phenomenal. And I've seen some rehauls as well, and although the artistry is so much better than what I can do, there are some masks that don't quite match what the 1978 Halloween Michael Myers sort of the feeling, the look that it gives you, and that it is, and that the iconography of it doesn't, they don't always get it right. I mean, they all do a job a million times better than what I can do, but not all of them look like like this. And so I felt like this was the time, like, if I was ever going to do it. The other problem with me is that, like I said, I like to overcomplicate things. And one of the things is, if I'm going to get this mask, I can't just sit on it. I have to try and get everything else to go with it. And this is where the problems would start coming. But also, it would also be where I would come into some incredible luck that I have no idea how fortunate I've been. So I started looking at the mask, and I was sitting there, and I was like, look, I really want to get this, because this is going to be, if I miss this opportunity, I might not find a mask that makes me, in my mind and internally, feel the same way as I do uh, ever again about a mask. Because honestly, when I sat there and looked at this picture, it was even better than what I ever thought I could ever have. And I was waiting for it to go. I was waiting for somebody to have it. And at that point, I would have been gutted. But at the same time, maybe I would have gotten over it. Maybe I wouldn't. But it would anyway. So so then I started messaging a friend of mine. Now, a friend of mine, she has the best Halloween display in the town that I live in, and I've known her since I was like 18 years old. We've been friends for years and years and years. And she does, as I said, the best Halloween display, and she has a lot of mannequins. So I asked her, and I said to her, "Look, have you got any spare mannequins? Because this is what I'm going to try and do." And she doesn't. She actually needs more. So then she said, "Well, let me get hold of the person that I normally get them from." And straight away I was like, "Okay, like this is probably not happening, but we'll see what happens." And then not long after me messaging her, she gets back to me saying, "Well, they've got one, and they've got this," and it was just a mannequin, a plain mannequin with no head, which isn't a problem because we can get the heads like I've got on this. Really simple. You just get a polystyrene head. It's a fiver on eBay, and it was as simple as that. And I just stuck it on there. That's the end of that story. But yeah, so this mannequin now. Those that are after mannequins or know about mannequins, anything like that, not that there's not much to know about mannequins, but they are not cheap. If you go online and try and find a full size mannequin, they are crazy expensive. And I had to travel about half an hour to go and get this one, because straight away when she said that, I was like, I will have it. 100% I will have it, because for the price that they were selling this mannequin for, I would have just had it anyway, just in case I needed it for anything. It didn't even have to be the Michael Myers thing. Even if I just wanted to put anything to make it Halloweeny or anything like that for the Halloween season, anything. For the price that they were offering me, for 25 quid for a full mannequin, there was no way that I was going to pass that down. So already I had the mannequin, and I knew that I had to go and collect that, but I still didn't have the mask. And it was one of those things where I was like, look, I feel like now it has to be the time. So I ended up pulling the trigger, and I ended up getting the mask for a little bit less than what they were saying it was. And I was ecstatic. I was so excited, which turns out to be, my excitement was a little bit premature about it. And I'll get into that as well. Because once again, I said, this is more about the story, about trying to get to where I was or where I am now. So anyway, so I knew that I had brought the mask, and I knew that I had the mannequin. But then it became about, look, I want to make a screen accurate Michael Myers. This isn't just like something, as I said, that I want like it to look like something from Spirit Halloween, which is cool to have, and they're cool like animatronics, but they don't ever really massively look like a movie legit version of what they are. So what do I do? Where do I go next? Because this was the point I was at now. I knew that I had a mask that was going to be the centerpiece of everything that I have, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I knew that I had a mannequin. And also, as well as that, with a mannequin, I completely lucked out, because a lot of mannequins, they have like no detail to them. And after I said yes about having it, because I was going to have it anyway, when I looked at the picture again, I noticed that the hands on the mannequin are crazy detailed. Like they have all the veins, they have the nails, they had everything like that. So I thought to myself, well, once I get it and I paint it, which I have done, I can paint it sort of skin colored and add some details in it so it looks even more real. Because once again, the idea of doing this is having something that makes you feel like when you walk into the room and see it, you're actually seeing Michael Myers. That's the point of all of this. And that's always been the point of it. Ever since I was a kid growing up, that's what I want. I want people to walk into the room and think Michael Myers is there, and probably shit themselves. Hopefully not shit themselves, but that's down to them. Or yeah, that's down to them or their bells. But either way, that's where I was. I now had to try and figure out how I get the next screen accurate stuff, but also bearing in mind, well, I don't have the money to do it, and if I'm trying to do all this at once, well, it's probably not going to happen. But at least I can see. But then this is where I start coming into the difficulties of understanding what happens, because you don't think about the little details, such as This is a movie from 1978. So where the hell are you going to get overalls from 1978? Of course, you can look on eBay, but anything like that is crazy money to try and get. And then you start looking into the details, going, well, if I can't get the actual ones that they had in the movie anymore, well, what's my next best option? And that's what a lot of all this is. It's about trying to find your next best option that is still making something movie and screen accurate. But then you start looking into the details, and then you're like, oh, okay, like a lot of times people think that Michael Myers has blue overalls. And when you watch the movie, you're like, oh, yeah, it could be like blue overalls. But then you start looking at some scenes, like in the light and stuff, and you're like, actually, they're probably not blue. So then you start looking into that. And then you start finding out that they were created, the original company that created the overalls, the coveralls that Michael Myers wear, is Sears Tradewear. There's the coveralls and the color is text green. So this is the start when you start getting into the detail of trying to understand how you make it more screen accurate. And you're like, okay, so then you start trying to type in text green and stuff like that. Nothing. You can't get anything. So then you're like, oh, okay, so I now can't really get the screen accurate overalls for Michael Myers unless I have a lot of money, and they aren't cheap. And I know that you can get them, and I've seen and where you can get them, but at this moment in time, it's not something I can do because it's a lot of money. So straight away, I was pretty disheartened because it was one of those things where I really didn't think about where I was going after the step of having the mask. I was so excited about having the mask and getting a mannequin that I didn't really think about where I go next with the other stuff. Because then it doesn't just become about the overalls, it becomes about the boots. Now, you would think it would be so easy because you're like, oh, okay, well, it's just boots. But if you're going to get screen accurate ones, well, then you can see online and you know that in the original movie, he wore what is known as jungle boots or Vietnam boots. And you think that they're all black. Well, they're not. They're actually black with some green bits sort of up the side of it, which I never knew. And you don't see that on screen. So it all becomes about where you're going to go or how far you're going to go to make this as screen accurate as possible. And that is obviously what I wanted to do. But when I realized and started looking into it more and looking at the cost, I realized that it's not something that I can do right now. And that's where I started to get disheartened by it. On top of all of this, the mask kept on getting delayed to turn up. And here I am spending a lot of money, more money than I have on this mask. In fact, I have to sell. I have to sell stuff to get this mask, and have had to sell stuff to get this mask. So yeah. So the price you pay for having no money and wanting nice stuff like this. But I had to wait for this mask that kept on getting delayed, and I kept on looking at the tracking, and yeah, basically, I was shitting myself because I was like, what happens if I never get this mask? And that would really suck. But luckily, in the end, it turned up. So I had the mannequin, I had the mask, but I then had to try and figure out what I was doing with the rest because I knew that I couldn't get these fancy Sears text green overalls. And I knew that I could get some that were the replicated versions of the overalls from the original 1978 movie, but they're not cheap. I'm talking nearly 200 quid just to get some overalls. And I've seen people online and they've got all these, and lucky them because they got some money and fair play to them. But I don't, so I can't do that yet, and that really sucks. And then also the boots, as I said, they are jungle Vietnam boots, and they aren't cheap either. You're looking at 50 to 100 quid or so just to get these boots as well. So yeah, I was pretty gutted about it because what I really wanted, as I said, was a screen accurate Michael Myers, and right now I don't have him, but it is a process that I will continue to do because I really, really want that screen accurate Michael Myers. But where I lucked out is that I ended up spending less than 50 quid to get the mannequin, to get the overalls. So the overalls that I got, I did luck out a little bit as well because I got them for about 8 quid. So I think it's about 8 or 10 quid with shipping, and they fit perfectly. Not only that, that they're not actually blue. They look a bit blue in here, just like the movie, but they're actually more of like a charcoaly sort of blue. Whereas in the original movie, it's like a weird mixture of like it being like a green, a charcoal that looks blue on screen. It's weird. It's such a strange color when you start looking up at into the details about it. So yeah, I will get that at some point. But right now, I'm quite happy with having the 10 quid, if that, overalls that fit really, really well on it, and it really does work really well with the overall look of it. The boots, once again, I completely lucked out on because I got them for less than 10 quid as well. And what I ended up having to settle on is boots that look like the shape of of the shape, the shape of the boots that he wears in the movie. And as I said, down the line, it will be a case that I do really want to try and get the overalls, and I do want to get the proper boots, because then I can sit here and say I have a as screen accurate Michael Myers as you can get without getting screen used stuff that I'm never going to get. If you're lucky enough out there to get the screen used stuff, well, then you've done all right in life. But if you haven't done well in life like me, you can't get the screen used, but you can try and get screen accurate stuff. So far, the only thing that's screen accurate that I've got is the mask, and quite honestly, even though the rest of it is like, every time I look at it, like the overalls and the boots, I'm like, it's not quite there in regards to knowing that it's screen accurate, but it looks absolutely fantastic. It really truly does. As I said, I painted the hands and gave it some detail, so it looks, the hands, to be fair, I'm not great at all this, but I've done a pretty good job, and they look like they're real hands. So right now, when people walk into the room and everything like that, they genuinely feel like it's a real person standing there, and it's like a real Michael Myers. I mean, my dog keeps on literally shitting himself. I mean, he's got used to it now, but when he first was around, he was shitting himself, being like, "Who the fuck is this?" But it really, really does truly look really good, and a lot of that is obviously relying on the mask, and I'm so happy. And also, what's funny as well is that the mask, the person that I got it from, but it's got obviously the label on the inside. But it's been rehauled by Horror Show Art. They're on Instagram. They've got a YouTube channel, but they do screen accurate masks and a lot of other things as well. And I already followed them on Instagram and YouTube anyway. So when I got it through, I knew that the quality was there. So make sure you go and check out everything that they do anyway, because the stuff that they do is fantastic. And obviously, I can attest to that because I didn't buy this directly from them, but um, I feel like I need to sort of shout them out because of how fantastic the work that they've done is. So yeah, so I have one. I've got him. My childhood dream of having a life-size Michael Myers in my house is complete in a way. Having him here with a screen accurate, obviously not screen use, but screen accurate mask. That, quite honestly, and I know I'm not trying to say that other people's aren't as good, because there are so many fantastic masks out there, but I genuinely do believe that the mask that I've got, I truly lucked out on, and I'm so fortunate to have, because I do genuinely believe that it's one of the best masks, Michael Myers mask rehauls, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever seen, in regards to the likeness to what it is to the movie. It honestly is astonishing. Sometimes I will literally turn around and see it, and then I will sit there, and before I know it, 10-15 minutes has gone by where I'm looking at the detail on this thing and going, wow, like, this genuinely looks like Michael Myers. And I couldn't be more fortunate about having the mask. The rest of it will come down the line. I will get the overalls, and then the boots will be the last sort of thing, because the boots I've got are fine. They look like the shape of what they're supposed to be with the original sort of 1978 boots that they had. But the overalls is what I want to get. But at the moment, hopefully, as you can see behind me, and any pictures that I've put up or any videos along the way of talking about this, is hopefully that you can see that it is a really fantastic piece, that I'm very fortunate to have, and how it all came together way quicker than what I thought, after waiting so many years to actually even contemplate getting one. So there we go. Just you know, there's the video. I just wanted to do a video to sort of go through my journey a little bit with this. And as I said, for those that wanted a screen accurate Michael Myers, then I apologise, but I did say at the start, so you didn't have to watch on. But if you wanted to know more about my journey to try and get what I have, well, this is it. But I'm so fortunate, so happy to have the Michael Myers that I have for now. And it's crazy how real and how much it genuinely feels like Michael Myers is in my room, watching me doing whatever. Having him like lurking behind me now, is pretty creepy, and it makes for a pretty impressive backdrop to all my videos. So there we go. There we go. Obviously, look, there's videos out there as well. So if you want to, hopefully, if anybody else is out there as well that is looking to try and create a life size prop or anything of their favorite sort of horror icons, and maybe this is giving you a bit more of an understanding or an insight of what you might need to do or look for. But also there's loads of videos out there as well, on YouTube and online, that show you actually properly screen accurate versions of all these sort of iconic horror villains. But this one's mine. So there we go. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, or if it was just an absolute waste of time. But either way, I've got my Michael, and he's mine forever.